back with the crew, and we got a special edition this evening for everybody. And I'm back with my partner, Brother Will McKee, in the building. We got Brother Mac or D Mac from the Names Are Not Important podcast, who I'm blessed to co-pilot with, which you can find us on all media platforms. And we are blessed this evening to have the presence of none other, the one and only technician, the DJ. And I'm going to bring Brother McKee in to kind of introduce our special guest this evening and get the ball rolling this evening. So, Brother McKee, it's in your court, brother.
Oh man, grand evening to everybody. And Ben, I thought you were gonna come in singing or something, like trying to do your Aunt Hamilton impersonation, since we got tech on and trying to get you a deal.
That's got me in trouble once before. That got me in trouble once before. I don't want that. I don't want that smoke no more. Shout out to Hey Hamilton.
Yeah. Hey, but no, a very epic show tonight. And we're going to get right into the questions because we got a busy man who is arguably the hottest DJ in the world right now. The hottest DJ in the world. And that's none other than, as Pastor Ben said, technician the DJ from the Boogie Down, from the Bronx. The Bronx Bombing. Yes. And he is the DJ for the legends known as the Locks, Jada Kiss and Styles P and Sheik Luch. And he is also the DJ for the mighty members of the Wu-Tang Clan, and namely Ghost and Ray, those legendary brothers. And also, I know, right? You got to shake your head. And also the God MC, none other than Rakim. Technician, the DJ, is the DJ for all of them. Like a million salutes to you, brother. Flowers on top of flowers.
You DJ for all my favorite artists, dog. Like it's like literally, like I always been a huge Locks fan. Ben to tell you, we go back 30 years. I'm a huge Wu-Tang fan. The Wu-Tang was the only verses I watched from beginning to end. The Ray versus Ghost. I watched it from beginning to end. And then the Locks and Dipset. I watched all of it, but it was after the fact. I didn't catch it live, but it was still one. That one was, they were both very nostalgic for me. So I had to sit in on those, man. So many props to you, man. Blessings. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so that was the official Brother D McDonald from Names Are Not Important podcast that you can catch right here as well. And of course, Pastor Ben, we're going to jump right into it with technician, the DJ, and everything he played. Now, give me, hey, man, I might do it. I just might do it tonight. And before we get to tech, do y'all remember the episode on Martin Lawrence when Biggie came through and everybody started showing off trying to sing for Big? Pam, Gina, Shanae, I kind of feel like that tonight, but I'm going to hold that back.
Is that?
And, but hey, and special shout out to our apparel group, Victorious Visions Art and Apparel, Mr. James Riley, who has provided us the Names Are Not Important t-shirts. Catch the blog, please. So let's get into this interview with this legend we got on the set, Tech DJ. So Tech, what we're gonna do right here is go way back in the time from that great hip hop sample. You're from the Mecca,
the only things that are consistent with troglodytes.
Hey, no hip hop heads know that part too.
Yeah.
So for real. So Tech, you're from the Mecca, the epic of this art form culture known as hip hop music. Talk about what your early life was like growing up in the Bronx. What was life like for you growing up, Tech?
It's always been about music. Like every Saturday, my mom used to go to a store. There's a store called Alexander's. I don't know if that was only in New York or was nationwide, but Alexander's and Crazy Eddie. Alexander's was a department store that had a record section, and Crazy Eddie was a record store / electronic store. And I always went to the record section, so I always knew I wanted to do music. And I've always been around music in the Bronx, hearing it out the window. I just love music coming up.
So, that's interesting. You said now, I don't think we had that record store here in the South. I don't know if Ben, but we do all have that record store experience. And the lyric that jumped out at me from Grandmaster Flash was "Broken Glass Everywhere." And I've always heard people like
that was definitely the Bronx.
That was the case.
Yeah. There's a lot of abandoned buildings. Yeah. A lot of abandoned buildings back in the day. Like, I love it, but people, if you were a visitor and you weren't from the Bronx, you would say it was bad. But I love it. It's part of growing up.
Yeah. So when we hear the story of Sedgwick and Cedar Avenue, I might be in those streets wrong, but I know Sedgwick and Cedar is where DJ Kool Herc had that first party. And how did that environment or people plugging equipment into the light posts, how did that environment shape the music, the culture? Broken Glass.
Well, for me, the plugging up to the light pole, a lot of them cats, some of them cats are older than me, so I wasn't around. I wasn't able to go to the Kool Herc and the flash parties and everything. But I did used to watch guys from my fire escape because I couldn't go downstairs. I was young. They had their equipment set up outside and they were plugged up to the light pole. I'm a kid. I didn't know that they were splicing wires or doing something illegal. I just knew, you could plug up to the light pole and rock out, hook your equipment up. So it was just me watching those guys from my fire escape and enjoying it. I didn't know it was hip hop yet. I just knew I liked the music. There was a DJ, there were guys on the microphone, there was a big party outside. And I was like, I like that. I like sitting here for however long it was. I wouldn't get in trouble because I was inside. I was just on the fire escape. So my mom was like, all right, he's all right. He's not outside downstairs. And I just watched it and I loved it, not knowing that that's what I was going to do for a living. But watching it, I did know this is something I wanted to do because I actually started playing records at 3 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, no one believes that. But I started.
Well, that's the old adage. They saying that if you're doing what you love, you never work a day in your life. So exactly. how do you, for people who can't see that as an avenue for revenue, is in being able to do what you love? How do you balance that act between life and the business?
You just gotta somehow balance it. You make time for everything. Things you love, you make time for it.
Yeah.
So I just knew I had a love for music kind of from day one. Like age 3, as soon as I can talk, I was always around music in my family, my grandparents, my mom. And there were records. I would see them put it in the stereo. I'm like, all right, that little round thing is causing happiness. When they put the needle, lifted up and played, I was like, all right, so I got to figure out what this is. Some sound is coming out. People are enjoying themselves. I said, all right, I'm gonna do that. I like to make people happy. Music makes everyone happy. It changes your mood. If you're going through anything, music There's a saying, I don't know if I'm saying it right, music soothes the soul or something like that. It's absolutely true. No matter what you're going through,
That's true.
music will take your mind off of it. Like
So
Kid Capri always says, when you come to a party, the DJ's job is to take the person's mind off of any problems they're going through, entertain them, and make them happy for the time that they're listening to you.
I agree. I see that. So what you mentioned Kid Capri. So when we talk about like when you get into your craft, what was it an individual, or was it just the art itself that influenced you to want to hone your craft to become the great technician, the DJ?
It's a combination of both. Is as guys I saw coming up, and the fact that I love music. So once I knew I wanted to do it from watching the guys on the fire escape, there's a guy, Ray Ski. I don't know if he was known outside of the Bronx or outside of my block, but he's one of the guys that made me want to do that because of what he was playing and coming up. You watch guys. Saw Jam Master Jay with Run DMC on a show called Graffiti Rock. And I knew he had the same setup that the guys downstairs plugged up to the light pole had. I'm like, all right. And Run DMC were like the kings. So it's like, all right, that's something I want to do. And now watching them in front of a crowd of thousands, I was like, he's entertaining a lot. So that's something I wanted to do. Then as I grew, I started knowing about other DJs and looking into them. Like Flash, Red Alert was on the radio here in New York. Marley Marl, Mr. Magic, Chuck Chill Out, all of them growing up. Then you moved on to Kid Capri, Jazzy Jeff, Funk Flex, Chubby Chub. These guys, a combination of everything.
Yeah. So, and oftentimes what's fascinating for us is how the art form traveled from the Bronx all the way to the South. And, those DJs you were naming, we would get a tape smuggled from WBLS to our low middle school or high school. And if you had that tape and popped it in, you were the woman or the man for like the next few months. So it's amazing how. What would you say your breakout moment was as a DJ, when the performance you did or the opportunity that you took advantage of shot you to that next level? When would you say that happened?
I'd say the last verses. Like I've
Really?
had moments, but that, because everyone is telling me the world finally saw what we knew for years. So I've been out there for since '96. Started with Camp Low. That's when I started traveling and doing things outside of New York. Because prior to that, I was with like local guys from around my way, but I never traveled anywhere to do it. So '96 Camp Low is where I started traveling the world, and from then I've had a couple artists. But if you only saw me on stage in that city or whatever, or word of mouth, you knew. But that Versus put me out there to over millions.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I'd say that was a breakout moment.
And it was the Locks versus Dipset, not the Ghost versus Ray.
Yeah, because Ghost and Ray was on a different platform. Well, actually, that was Triller also.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in front of a live audience, and I don't know if it was necessarily promoted as much as the Locks versus Dipset, because they had their how can I say this? Their crap talking is what kind of sold the event. It's like, oh, these guys mean business.
Yeah, it was real WWE-ish. It's
Yes,
good
very,
four horsemen versus Hulk Hogan and his three. That's
very. Ray and Ghost,
came off.
Ray and Ghost only did one of those type of videos to
Yeah.
promote the verses. Locks and Dipset, it was a continuous thing for weeks leading up. So that built the anticipation, and a lot of people, a lot more people, I feel tuned into that. And in comparison, because I've done a total of three verses, this Locks versus Dipset has been the most talked about after the fact.
Mm.
So I'd say that was my breakout moment. But for me personally, it was at a Rakim show at BB King in New York, where I kind of knew, or like, all right, I got something here. So his manager called me. I was like, you can go start playing. We'll be there in 5 minutes. So I'm like, is this an artist 5 minutes, which is usually 20 to 30 minutes, or is it a real 5 minutes? So he's like, no, we'll be there in 5 minutes. So I go on, I start playing like the warm up set, kind of what I did at the verses. And it came to one point where I stopped. My favorite artist of all time is Michael Jackson. At his 92 Bucharest concert, he came on stage and he stood there for 5 minutes, didn't move at all, and people were going crazy. So I finished my set. The last record, I said what I said, and I stood there for about 2 minutes. I didn't move. I think I blinked because can't not blink for 2 minutes, but I didn't move at all. And people were going crazy. No music, me just standing there, people going crazy. I almost cried because my sister recorded it and I heard how happy she was. She's like, that's my brother.
Hmm.
So I was like, wow, they're really screaming for me. And of course, the 5 minutes that they said they would be there, they weren't there. So I was on stage for 20 minutes and I said, I'll be back with the God MC. So I walked off. So now that 20 minutes, that became my solo set.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I just performed for 20 minutes. So for me personally, that was a breakout moment because I never received that ovation for just me. Because I never said they didn't know I was with Rakim. I just went out there as myself and just played music for them, and they went crazy. And I left the stage. So that was considered just me performing by myself. Then a couple minutes later, I came back on with Rakim.
That's dope,
So,
man. That's a good way of it showing when opportunity.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? How opportunity comes. You took that opportunity, that 20 minutes, an opportunity.
yeah.
You could have complained. You could have complained that they weren't they weren't on time, but instead you did a rock out set, and as a result, you got something out
You
of it.
you always got to stay ready.
That's right. Stay ready, ain't got to get ready.
Yep.
Showing up
Same
right
thing.
For sure.
Same thing with verses. Same thing with verses. I was only supposed to play for 5 minutes, and it turned out to be, I think, over 40 something minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I was ready.
Yeah.
I was prepared to stay on longer than necessary.
Wow.
So that's the key. That's a key to every DJ. Always be ready and read your crowd.
Speak.
Wow.
Let
Always
me
be ready.
let me throw something out to that effect. I'm glad you said that. In reading your crowd, um, how much of that plays into how you prep versus what you like? Do you feel certain stuff and then kind of change it up in the middle, or do you kind of have a concept of like what you want to do, or do you just play some things, get a feel, and then go from there? Like, how do you balance that? Read the crowd, like with prep versus just the energy.
It's a combination of all. If you know what event you're going to, you kind of get an idea. Also, visual, you can look at the room, kind of tell the age of the people, the race of the people, and by what you play in the reaction. You're like, all right, let me test it and see where it go from here. And you can see if your first record moves them. If not, you go somewhere else. Like I came on somewhere about a month and a half ago. I played a record and it was like a pin drop. And I was like, okay, this is not what they want. I went somewhere else with it and I got them back right away. Because I figured it was a certain age group. I was like, all right, let me go something there like they should know. But they weren't there for that. So I changed it immediately.
So music is music has very many genres. And then there's subgenres within it. So even within hip hop, you have the hip hop culture itself and then subculture. So there's going to be so much music that can be played. My point is, how much practice do you have, or how much research do you do into the music itself, so you can get a better understanding of what you should play, depending on the crowd? Because it's kind of like with Jeezy and if it were Jeezy or if it were Dipset, like that's not going to be the same most of the time. You know what I mean? So how do you know this is the little baby crowd versus this is, I don't want to say Rakim, because you know the Rakim crowd, everybody looks like us. They 40 and gray. We know what that crowd looks like. But with like the little baby versus maybe like a J. Cole, maybe that's not necessarily the same crowd. So how are you able to read it going into it? Is it based on the event, or do you just stay that up to date on the music?
It's both. You got to stay updated with what the young kids are listening to. Also know your older stuff. And you ask questions. Whoever books you, what is this? What am I doing? What type of event is it? Who's going to be there? Like, you never go into something not knowing anything.
Yeah.
Perfect example, went to a festival in Brazil. And the guy wanted me to do a set. I wasn't scheduled. He's like, yo, I'm going to try to get you on. I said, all right, what are we doing over there? And they're like, nah, you just do you. I'm like, no, what type of event is it? And it was a different genre of music. And I was like, all right, let me think about this for a couple of minutes before I go on. Sat there, you kind of get an idea based on if there's other music playing. You hear it, you see what's going on, and you figure it out. And if you're constantly prepared for different situations, you're like, all right, I'm going to go here. And I figured it out. And once you have the people, you can kind of do you. Like, all right, I gave them what they want. Now I'm going to play a little bit of what I want to do.
Yeah.
And you make it entertaining. Always be entertaining.
So, on that note, let me give you a shout out, because last night you were really entertaining. You tore that set up on scratchy.com.
Oh.
And worldwide audience. And big shout out to you for a great night of music that you put on, and Kid New.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Ted, yes, from Paris, France. So, and if you're just tuning in, we're coming towards near the end of the interview. But if you just tuned in, this is Resource Center TV, Resource Center TV / share, repost, and subscribe. And we're on the night with the it just called the other day, the silent MVP of last verse, the Locks versus Dipset, none other than Technician, the DJ. So got a quick question for you. Ben, if you had something, just jump in because just jump in. But I wanted to know if you could tell the people what you've got coming up. What tours are you on in the next few months post COVID? And big shout out to you and the other DJs, Jazzy Jeff, Maceo from
Yes,
Native Tongue.
Jazzy Jeff is my top favorite.
Okay. Well, you guys saved the country during the pandemic and gave us something to aspire to. What's some of the future tours that you'll be working on in the future? What groups are you going?
Right now, tour wise, the Three Chambers tour set for October 1st is going out. Raekwon, Ghostface, and Jizza from Wu Tang. That's going from October 1st, I believe, to December 18th. And everyone else is sprinkled in between the Locks, Rakim. Shout out to Cobain, the manager. He got me something in Greensboro, October 28th. Just trying to fit it, just trying to fill up everything on the calendar. Yes. October 28th in Greensboro. I'm coming out there to make something happen.
Yeah, and I think December 4th, you'll be here with the Woo, with Ray Ghost and the Jizza at the Cone Denim Theater right downtown. I think it's December 4th.
I have no idea, but if it's them three on that tour, yeah, I'll be there with them.
Yeah, and I'm available that night if you need a fill-in MC or something like that. I'm like 51, but I can do. But anyway, that's an inside. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. We actually have something I might pull you on stage for.
Okay, I'll get some stuff ready.
Yeah, always got to be ready. You never know. We'll pull someone up and like, all right, you ready? Here's the microphone. Go in.
Yeah, I got a question to that before we wrap, because I gotta know, because you deal with so much music and studying your craft and different genres. I want to know when technician the DJ just wants to cool out and listen to music, like what is your go-to? Like what do you?
Michael.
Just Michael.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Michael Jackson or slow music.
Okay. Like R&B.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything that's relaxing. Like I was in a restaurant the other day and they were playing jazz music and I was like, yo, this is very, like, I like this. I didn't know what was on, but I loved it. It just felt good.
Yeah.
So,
and you went heavy Prince last night too. You went in on Prince real heavy last night.
That's my number 2 guy after Michael.
Yeah.
I'm mad they never got to work together.
Yeah.
Right.
And last night I kind of went everywhere with it because I couldn't actually see the crowd. So it's kind of like you have to take what I'm giving to you. So I try to touch a little bit of everything. And my slogan is, when I'm on a set, the music library is open. Expect the unexpected. You never know what you're gonna hear.
Right.
So I try to be unpredictable. Like a lot of DJs, you hear something and you're like, oh, I bet you he plays this next.
Yeah.
With me, you're gonna lose your money because I'm not gonna play that next. We'll play something else.
And shout out to your singing skills too. And for those of you who have not heard,
if I wasn't a DJ, I would probably want to be a singer. But I just do it for fun. My vocal cords are damaged now, but I do it for fun.
Yeah, but what I like about how you do it is it's a 360-degree show. It is
Yeah,
superb blends and scratching, but between your interjecting on punchlines in that chat and that hitting those tunes here and there. You played something last night. It wasn't Schoolhouse Rock, but it was like I was like, what is that? Uh, I can't think of what it was, but I was like, wow.
I know what it is, but I'm not gonna say it because it's like a secret weapon.
Okay, okay.
No, I don't want to give away the treats and the secrets. Like, oh yeah, he played that. I'm gonna play it too. Cause
Right.
I take chances. Like I said, it's the unexpected things you're not used to hearing. You're gonna hear when I'm on the set.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
I don't know how close we are to closing. I want to ask Tech a question, but I want to make sure that I set the question up with a story. Do we got time for that? So there's a reason why I want to ask you this question because it's about the younger group coming up. So some years back, I won't say how long ago because honestly I don't remember. We were filming a pilot in North Carolina for a show that we were doing, and it was about young artists trying to make it in the industry. And we go to Lumberton, North Carolina, and we're there. And DJ Mike Tech, not sure if you're familiar with DJ Mike Tech out of Fayetteville. DJ Mike Tech was doing promotion outside. We didn't really do good promotion for the set that we were doing that night, so only 7. There was a person with a count at the door. 7 people showed up. So Mike Tech goes, I know this cat that is getting a little bit of buzz around this area. I'm gonna call him and he'll come through. So this cat comes through, and mind you, like I said, there's only 7 people in the building that night. This cat gets on, and he is performing like it's 100,000 people in the building. Like nothing.
he did the right thing.
He did the right thing. So now, you know, my job was to film what they were doing and then interview everybody after they set. This kid wasn't with us, and I interviewed him anyway because he caught me so hard from that. I was just like, yo, I know we're not supposed to interview him, but I'm going to interview him right now. So I go upstairs to talk to this kid for a few minutes. We exchange numbers, we leave. Turns out 4 years, I think it was about 3 or 4 years later, turns out that kid was J. Cole. So he ended up making it to the industry. So the question I have for you is, what would you say to young DJs and artists who are trying to make it? Because in those moments, some of the other artists that were there they performed like it was 7 people in the building, and this one guy came and saw an opportunity to perform like it was 700,000. So what would you say to young artists or young DJs that's trying to make it into the business now? What advice would you give?
In a situation like that, you perform like it's 100,000. That's like us, all the DJs last year. We were in our houses or wherever DJing for no people, just a chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even though it was hundreds of thousands in the chat, there's no actual people for you to feed off of. So you just gotta perform, put 1,000% into everything, be original, and just try to be the best at what you do, whether it's being a DJ or an artist. And you never give up. Even if you show up, let's say J. Cole, who had the buzz at the time before it became popular, he feel, no, everybody's gonna come out for you. Even if it's 7 people and you're disappointed, you still give it your all. Like it's 100,000. Yeah. We've all been there. Like I still go through it because I'm not a popular guy. So there are times where I get on, it's literally no one there. Then it starts building up till the headliner comes on.
Yeah.
So you just got to do your best.
I disagree with the "you're not a popular guy" thing. You may not have been. You are now, for sure,
Yeah,
undoubtedly.
indeed.
Nah, I'm a
Wor-
regular guy that plays music.
Hey,
Right.
well, the words that will live in infamy that were heard all the way around the world was that famous quote by Jada Kiss, "Yo, Tech, let's make something happen." And that
Wow.
that few moments in hip hop right there will go down in hip hop history forever, as a cataclysmic moment. So I
Yeah.
agree with you, D. Yeah, this is that guy right now, and such a humble spirit. We
Very humble.
appreciate it. Yeah, yeah, and I see the magic,
Thank you.
and so I just want to shout people before we wrap it up and hear from our host one more time, if that's the case. But again, Resource TV on YouTube and Clergy for Cures channel on Facebook and Twitter. Please like, share, thumbs up, subscribe. Big shout out to Scratchy.com, Kevin Cooper, Malcolm Teasdale, aka the manager. One
Yes.
time I said his name in that on Twitch, and I know Texas. He shot down a little bit, but I didn't know Cobain, the name Cobain, till recently. But that's my brother Charles Whitfield, who I met Cobain through, which linked me to you, who's going in the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame for his work with Joe Scott and Hidden Beach, Anthony
Nice.
Hamilton, and all that great stuff. And yeah, so and big shout out to director Terrence Graham, who I saw on the chat, who's got a movie coming out on September 17th, Dumpster Diving. Big shout out to also, uh, I saw one other, Percy Randolph is in the building. And okay, that's everybody. Y'all got anything else, Vince?
No, man, we appreciate you coming through. Seriously, like this was good. Chop it up, chat with one of the greats in the game for real.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. You want to
Even
tell
with the same
everybody?
background, people from my show don't see this because we green screen. Well, I couldn't green screen it today. I just had to jump on. So I'm learning about that. Be ready. I got to figure out something else to get ready for this. I don't know how to fix it.
Just want to everybody follow me on Instagram, on that Scratchy app, on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, Christian Mingle, Black Planet, Vine. just click me on everything.
Hey, we're gonna have to do a part show now, y'all. Y'all, about Christian Mingle, bro. No, I'm just joking. We not tabloid TV. We not tabloid TV. And thank you, Percy Randolph, for your shout out. Yes, congrats to Charles Whitfield. Thank you, Percy. That's the man, Percy Randolph. And before we go, also wanted to say, everybody, stay tuned too, because we're looking at going live right after Versus that's coming up on this Tuesday between Fat Joe, the legend, and Ja Rule, Ja Rule, the giant. So we're gonna come on after that.
Who do you guys think is
Yes,
gonna
sir.
win that one? Who are you guys picking?
Who will
Who
win?
you guys pick for that one?
So, all right. So let me answer this the correct
Come
way.
on, D. Come on, D. Come on, D. This
We
is
all
your
win
time.
when there's verses. So it's like we all win when there's a versus battle. So the fans are truly the winners from that. But what I've seen historically is whoever has the larger fan base, the expectation is it will be Fat Joe because
No.
You don't think Fat Joe would get more of the, you know what I mean? Because I didn't feel like there was a winner between Jeezy and Gucci, but there were more Jeezy fans that came out, and that's what kind of dictated the winner. And to me, we all won, and that's why I say that the way I say it.
Yeah. But as far as I don't know, because the Locks went in as the underdogs.
I don't know why.
They did. They
I
did.
don't
There were
They went
know how
underdog.
that's why.
Yeah.
there were a lot, and I even felt it on stage when Dipset came out. The people screamed for them way louder than they did for the Locks. And
Wow.
I turned around, I was like, "Oh, we might have a problem." But after one song, I said, "Problem solved." But I know we all win for all the verses, but who you guys? That was your correct way to answer it. Now the incorrect way to answer it. Who do you have winning? Fat Joe and Ja Rule.
I look, I got Ja, and mainly because I think when you go to especially the features and stuff, I think that's gonna carry him a little bit more. I think Joe's got the more following because he's brother Malcolm
Because
said
he's
that
current.
too.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
but I
I'm with
think
you,
I
too.
think Ja's got so many hits and so many features that it's just now Joe got a lot too, but
Ja
you
Ja
know,
has
I
Ja
think
has
Ja's gonna end.
monsters.
Yeah.
Huh?
Ja has monster hits.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
No, I'm,
I'm voting for the hometown. So I'm going with Joe.
I'm
I,
going Joe. I just think his catalog might be a little larger, primarily because
And Mac is a Fat Joe fan too. I can
yeah.
attest to that. He's rocked with him.
I mean, I rock with Ja Rule too. Like, it's honestly, it's not too many people that I'm not a fan of. I think one of the things that opened my ears more. Fonte told me this a long time ago. He was like, a lot of the artists that you hear can actually go in, but they're restricted to whatever it is that brings them the bag. And I'm paraphrasing. And he was just like, they can really rap. And that I remember when he told me that, it made me download the Uzi Vert second album. And then I was like, okay, I see what he's saying. So it's like my ears since then have opened up a lot more. So it's like Ja got a lot of tracks too. I just think Joe might take this one. I heard Plato Plumo. I don't know if y'all heard that album, but I heard that
Yeah.
album. I gotta take Joe.
I, okay, and let me get on this.
I side with you.
Yeah, I gotta
Let
take
me
Joe on this. I can't go Ja.
let me get some D. And D, I want to applaud you for your diplomacy tonight. You've been very uh, you've been very diplomatic. So now I'm gonna say this. Uh, First of all, let me shout out Ja Rule because, as being said, Ja Rule is needless to say, a talented brother, and his style of the song, the singing style of rhyming was very, very hot, and so many people hated to see him go away from that when he kind of did. So he's gonna be for anybody because he's so skillful. Guy, those guys just put out great music. I'm gonna say this, y'all. I think that the court of public opinion on who is hot right now with the fans side of their catalog, Fat Joe right now being the Oprah as people call him, he has such an endearing hold on the people right now. Ja
Yeah,
Rule has not really been on the scene as kind of this personable guy. I'm sure he's a great brother one on one, but Joe has kind of been there with the DJs to kind of bring this pandemic with that great interview discourse that he does. That plus his great skill, staying relevant, being a love. I got a chance to interview that brother at a NT's homecoming. It will be coming to. This was years ago, and the brother was just down
Yeah.
to earth, and the people loved him. So I'm gonna give a slight victory to Fat Joe. That's what I'm gonna say.
I agree.
So
I'm going with the Bronx, man.
Gotta go with the
got
home team.
I agree because it's like you pull for Joe for that reason because he's purpose. Because I watched the interviews and you pull for him. But it's gonna be tough. But as Joe said on his one, he said, "I know who I'm going against," and he said, "John coming with some hot fire." So it's gonna be fun to watch because it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting.
Speaking
I'm
of Fat
I'm a
Joe,
fan of a both. Now I'm gonna say this: I'm more of a fan of Fat Joe. I wasn't all, but Ja got some mega hits,
yeah.
Definitely.
But
so
I
it's
gotta
gonna
ask
be
you
he
the
does.
question.
it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
Now that we on the subject of Fat Joe and you from the South Bronx, I gotta ask you a question. I got family that's there actually, but I gotta ask you this question when it comes to hip hop, and it is this one: how do you feel when I rank the top 5 best solo hip hop albums of all times? One album that always makes my list, I mean, every single time, is Big Pun Capital Punishment. How large do you think Pun would have gone? How big do you think he would have gone had he survived? Had he not met his demise, and unfortunately, and rest in peace to Big Pun. But I'm of the belief that Fat Joe discovered one of the most lyrical MCs that hip hop has ever seen, and his candle was just so it was short lived for him. But how being from that area, how was he received overall as in hip hop and what he meant to it?
He's considered one of the greats. I felt he would have became a pop star. Like kind of what like equivalent to what Drake
Mm.
is today.
Mm.
Like he come from hip hop, but he become so popular across the board, he become a pop star. That was the same thing with Big.
Yeah.
Puff was transitioning Big into being a pop star. That's why on Life After
Wow.
Death you hear him using certain samples, and I think the same thing would happen for Pun.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
Joe started having him on R&B. He did a couple of R&B records. I want to say he was on Living La Vida Loca with Ricky Martin. So he was transitioning to being a pop star.
Wow, that's powerful. And one last, you can see that. Yeah, another big shout out. I saw a powerful MC from Eastern North Carolina used to rhyme with this brother back in the day, Mr. Eric Graham. He has his ghetto book of poems that he does this powerful form of hip hop where he critiques the world, what's going on in the world with truth, justice, and the society. Man, big shout out to that brother. He's the brother of the movie producer Terrence Graham as well. Big shout out to Eric, and he asked me to give you a salute, a couple that went out to millions. So big shout out to Graham. Okay, but
Shout
everybody,
out to him.
make sure after verses goes off. What'd you say, Tech?
No, I was saying shout out to him.
Okay, yes, sir. So everybody, Resource Center TV, after verses goes off, we will hit this camera right here with a commentary on how our votes, look. We might replay the tape and see how everybody voted, and hear from you, the listeners, and see who won, along with how Trilla and the verse calculate all of that. Big shout out to Timberland and Swiss Beats for coming up with that medium that's done so much for us and so much for great artists like Technician. So Tech, again, thank you for everything. Thank you for coming on out of your busy schedule. And we're going to have you back on, and we'll see you in the borough on both of those dates that you just threw out there. October 28th for Jiho, which is the biggest homecoming on the planet, bar none. Tech will be in the building that Thursday night at Bain and Elm, right downtown. And I'll probably be hitting the stage with in some form. No
Oh, I'm gonna
so
pass
and
you
then
the mic.
again, oh man, I talked myself into trouble, y'all. Hey, but I'll be ready. And then he might not know it, but according to Cone Denham, he's coming back in December with Ghostface, Raekwon, and the Jizza. So stay tuned for that as well.